Hello everybody and welcome back. I am Mr. JP and the game is Out of War. And you're joining me continued in the last game, but there's been quite a few updates and things got a little bit crazy, so I'm back at my sort of refinery area and I've been expanding it a little. I've got a few more of the furnaces, so just gonna chop out this rather undecorative tree. There we go. I will smooth that area out and make things look a bit better at some point, but yeah. So thank you everybody for joining me for the views and subscriptions and comments and stuff. Try and keep it a bit more fun. The view off of here is awesome, by the way, especially from a tower or an antenna like I've got on the hill behind there. But yeah, production. Going to touch on the furnaces a little. For every furnace that I've got here, each one that produces iron is also paired with a steel one, if that makes sense, so you need two. And then I just load these up with iron and move the iron they've made into the steel ones and use that to produce steel. And I've got a feeling this is all going to get moved at some point, so we'll just quickly load these up. And the reason for loading these up, everything they make gets you XP on your level. So this is sort of a levelling up manoeuvre in some ways. And things have improved. Some of the updates now mean that I think certain equipment is going to be able to make cement, which means making your own concrete parts is going to be in fashion and useful. Very useful. So yeah, this one's making steel, so similar drill. You can use a slide bar, you can enter numbers here, you can do what you like. The menus are quite interactive in that you can interact with them in several different ways, which is kind of cool. I like that kind of thing. Possibly a little bit game geeky there, but you know, it's the little things. It's the little things that add to the pleasure in a game. Sometimes I was having a chat with a friend the other day and we were discussing gaming and we were talking old school gaming, and it's the detail level of some of the older games for simulation factor and what they actually have in them compared to the obvious lack of graphic definition. These days there's an awful lot of detail level in graphics, but they seem to have lost some of the detail level in the gameplay and game modelling. It's nice to have different ways of doing things and more complicated methods. It's kind of cool. So yeah, that's all sorted out there. Go and put the iron ore back in the one that I store the iron ore in. There we go. Getting short on iron ore. Gonna have to mine some more of that if I want any more steel production. So yeah, the steel is used over here in this rolling device thing, and I'm making these steel beams, which are still being made. But you can queue up quite a lot of steel beams, and any leftover steel will be stashed in there for later. Take steel beams, run it across this funny cat and lathe thing, and I just produce these steel blocks as a pure profit thing. So got a few of those there. Let's see how much profit I can make. I can't actually see how much cash I've got, so we'll find out after I finish recording, because my recording window thingy's in the way. I'm sure there's a way of editing that, and I'm sure someone will tell me how or suggest something, but pretty much I'm a gamer. I play. Video production, all of this tech, not necessarily my hotspot. Pulling games apart, I'm a bit better at. I'm quite good at pulling a lot of things apart, actually. The world is full of creators and the world is full of discombobulators. I'm quite good at pulling things apart and seeing how they work. It's part of being an engineer. Also, sometimes things break. Pulling them apart, seeing how they broke and designing it differently is sort of part of an engineer. And that's where I sit in engineering, really. But yeah, I'm better at the breaking. So in times of peace, people like me aren't very popular, I've decided. But as the world moves towards chaos, we become more interesting to everybody. It's quite funny, really. Yeah, It's a funny old word. Anyway, so yeah, I've been producing like this for a little while, doing this sort of cycle of production, as you can see by all the gold that's stacking up. Let's get rid of that silicon ore. And I've also got a lot of ruby and diamond ore to experiment with in some other machinery. I'll get round to that at some point. It's just sitting in my inventory at the moment. But we'll collect up the gold and the steel and just see how much cash is sort of... I know how I can spot my cash, it's alright. Alright, so that's all that spotted out. I've got plenty of silicon ore there. I'm going to spot out the silicon as well. Let's go for this. Yeah, take the lithium out. I'll leave the platinum there because it's harder to find, but I've got aluminium, so we'll take that with me as well. Right. So yeah, profit time. No, not the way to do it. Okay, I've got nearly bang on 2 million. That's kind of cool. It's a good time to do it. Awesome. So you sort of swap between the sell and the buy window now in this top right corner by clicking. So when it says sell, you click and you're into your sell window. When it says buy, click it and you're into the buy window, which you get used to it. So down here, let's start with the gold, and you can actually slide bar these things up now, which is kind of cool. Ooh, 328 on that one. That's a half mil. This is going quite well. Steel blocks, that's a half mil of them. That's where the money is with these, because that's where. Oh, hello. Okay. That was a level up, I reckon. Okay, so that's the selling done. All the machines are running. Can disappear away from here and go and have a look-see. So, zoom out and go up this hill. I really should investigate what this is, because if that's lithium, then your quid's in on this bit of the hill. But it does kind of wreck the view from the tower over there through the valley. So, over here there have been some changes. As you can see, in the distance through that gap in that annoying tree that has regrown since I've loaded my last save. Let's just go sideways here. That is the biggest loader in the game, so it gives you an idea of the scale. I've rebuilt my machinery, got it out of this corner where this tree's growing in the centre of the screen, moved it across, gone with the 4-way hopper now, because it's just a bit quicker on collecting up the material when you dump into it, which is kind of useful. So yeah, this machine has been rebuilt so that all the dirt comes out into this sales point here, which you can see flowing out through the grill works, which I think is kind of nice. These 4 all do the crusher side, and each crusher goes to a separate storage, because once you start running gravel, you're gonna get quite a lot, and I'm gonna observe how much goes into these, and if it isn't too bad, it's gonna get rigged up with another one of these hoppers into a single storage box like that. Probably over here as well, and be able to sit here and observe it all going into the hoppers, which would be kind of cool. This one had a little problem and actually blocked up at first, but we've solved that now. So yeah, I've got this little 500's just parked down here as a quick way of jumping around the map. I don't like that tree growing through there. Sorry, a little bit of tree OCD going down. So yeah, thanks to everyone for subscribing and viewing, by the way. I don't know if I did that at the start of the video. I got probably distracted. Quite distracted today. It's been a hectic week. This video was meant to be filmed at the start of the week, but I got into the digging over there. And so, yeah, biggest dump truck in the game. Got a feeling I need to sort of sell and rebuy my equipment due to the updates, but yeah. So, up at this top section, I've sort of just taken this chunk out of the mountain here, and as you can see by the overhang, that's about as high as I can reach on this step. And I'm just planning to go down a step, really, but I ended up getting distracted and starting to clear out in that direction that you can see at the moment. Over there I cleared out, and there's another lithium seam at the back there. So I was right, this valley up here, as I was saying at the end of my last video, is hot. There, it's all coal. This is all coal. All that we're looking up around, that's coal. There's a little bit of lithium there, a little bit of lithium over there, and a little bit of lithium up there. So there might be more lithium in that hillside just over there. Currently, I think I've bitten off more than I can chew with this area that I'm clearing out anyway. So, on the subject of clearing out, we'll get the machine rolling. And because I want to demonstrate something about the reason that I've been going in at this position. Dirt, overburden, whatever you want to call it, is kind of annoying. You have to get rid of it. There's loads of it to dig through at the start of the game, and it's worth absolutely nothing. However, it does have one slight advantage, as we'll see in just a sec. You can see my XP rate is sort of clicking up quite well just from the refining that's going on. The refineries really do boost your XP from your digging, and I just drop that in there. You'll see in a couple of secs, once the money starts ticking up, watch that XP meter from what I'm doing here with the dirt that's being cleared inwards. I could get all posh and bring the dumper over here, I suppose, but for the moment the dumper's sort of surplus to requirement. By the time you've manoeuvred around, dumped it in the dumper, brought the dumper over here and dumped it, you've used as much time. And as I get closer to the hopper along the wall, it just gets quicker. I managed to backload the machine quite well when the wall was where I am now. So moving the hopper to where you're cutting is probably the most efficient way of mining that there is, from my experience in what I've been doing here. And it's what I'll be going over to clear out the next step. I'm having a very large internal argument with the idea of just putting in a conveyor floor. Because of the company aspect of the game now, you can deposit money into your company account, and I've been doing that. So my company account's currently running, I think, about 5 million or something, plus the 2 million or however much is now. How much is up there? Oh, 7 million. Okay, yeah. So I could just cut into this area with conveyor floor and go for it, but I try to stay away from it. Like it's bad. They're addictive, those things, but they do munch a lot of material very quickly into areas like this. So yeah, they've got their place, much as I hate to admit it. So there's a couple of ways of starting and cutting down to the next step, which is what I'm sort of going to address in this video. One way is to do what I've started doing down here, which is building a floor at the right height that you want your step to be. This can be just a single line of sort of tiles along the edge of the cliff, and it's just a way without GPS of setting a height that you want to dig down to, and then where I've been scraping away at the end here, as it were, I can start digging a hole effectively at this end to reverse down a slope the loader and then start attacking forward into the slope. Or I can just build a big enough floor, reverse the loader backwards onto that floor and start working from down there straight into the face again. So there's a couple of ways of doing it. And most of this is because I want to get down to some stonework. I haven't actually touched any stonework or gravel production yet in this version of the game. And when I started in the testing mode, I started with a new game, level 0, no money. So everything I've got's come from pay dirt and topsoil. So when you consider that, it becomes a different matter. I mean, there was a big coal sale at one point, I have to admit that. My steel refinery was full of coal. Every inventory was rammed with coal, so that had to be got rid of. And that made me a fair amount of that 5 million. But coal and gravel, I think, are on a par price-wise in the price list. I can't remember. So yeah, once you hit the gravel, it's like continuously digging coal when you've converted it into gravel through the fractioner and everything, plus all the valuables you get out of it. It's a monster, and I want to hit it before I've leveled all the way up, so you can see the difference. But Might be for a new game start to do that. Concentrate in one area and just go downwards, sort of thing. Because now I know roughly how big the lithium seams are that are lying around. I know which one to concentrate on. It happens to be next to that giant coal seam over there in the background, so yeah. That one over there will be nice as well, I think, once it opens out. Let's see how it goes. It all depends what's in the rock around them as well. Getting into rock bashing, use explosives, use bulldozers with rippers, or use the ripper on an excavator. It all becomes a little bit slow. But the amount of XP you get for it is just huge. So yeah, it's the coloration of this pay dirt that's kept me running into this wall, by the way. These funny dark bits that you can see in it, they're probably just textures, but sometimes you get little purple spots like just there. And where I'm driving over now is a little golder, and I'm sure they're where the high points are. But, so yeah, digging into this for a little while, and let's just tab to there. And as you can see, my XP is going up fairly quickly. There's no material coming out here. Where is the material? Come on, come on. There we go. And now it's really accelerating up, and this is where the dirt comes in. It's just the amount that you get for selling it like this is slow, but the volume that's coming off of these slopes is huge. And yeah, over time it really adds up to your XP and your leveling. So yeah. Okay, let's try this going downhill thing. I can always abort to reversing down onto the lower table for this, so it's kind of the backup plan is building the table. I want to do it by manipulating dirt, so let's see, start building a bit of a ramp down here and experiment with this digging downwards method. Got a full bucket full from that little scrape though. Perhaps shallow scraping is the way. You can see where that little step in the landscape there. I did start sort of scraping down a slope, as it were, just to see what went on, and yeah, it seemed to be fairly successful. You get a lot of material for a scrape, so slowly scraping your way down through the rich stuff might be the way to sort of get the most out of it. It's an experiment I haven't done. I just dig. That lump's annoying. I'm going to try and take that lump out. This is the other thing, is you only learn by playing, so you've got to play with your machines to learn what they can do, and that's full. Stop digging. See, let's put the dumper somewhere around there to fill up, or just reverse up and put it in the hopper straight away and not worry about it anymore, which is currently the way I'm going. I'm not really worried about bits of spill either. This is... I haven't really ever tried this. I've normally just gone in off platforms, going to be honest. And in my last series of videos from the last update, I did have that big underground mine with all of those flat tables, and then I was digging out with only the loader in one. So I guess fun factor, it's a machine game. You should be using the machines really, and the production equipment and everything. One of the reasons why I was dubious about the hand mining tools is they're cool, don't get me wrong, and they do give you the ability to do a very hardcore start mode, as being demonstrated by another creator. You can effectively start with no money, just a couple of $100 sort of thing, and go up from there. But that's a long game, and that's hard, and that reminds me of another older mining game that didn't really make it that well. So yeah, I'm hoping the focus will go off of the small end of the game's spectrum and back onto the big end, and we'll see some development of machinery. Some different categories of machinery would be kind of cool. I want to see drag lines, bucket wheel excavators, long-armed excavator would be good. There's a few things on my wish list. Um, Everybody's got one, right? Um, the other thing is construction-wise. I was talking a little bit about maps, and it's all very well having these sale points and everything laid out the way they are, and I kind of like it. But at the same time, we need some more specific sort of sell points for specific materials and some production equipment that can separate those specific materials, just to give you a reason to do what I'm doing now, which is sort of like building a road. If I was to extend this ramp down the slope, I'd sort of end up arriving somewhere over near that white lithium seam in the background, and I'd have a ramp up to my mine, which it's a different aspect of the game building like that, and it's something that harks back to the old days when there was 4 towers for doing fuel missions, and it was a lot easier with the fuel truck if you built a road, and it was a little challenge to build a road to each one through the train. So I guess digging challenges are another thing. There are tasks done by machinery, sometimes timed, depending on where you're at and what the situation is, such as, build some large sort of dams to stop a flood that's coming through. So you've got to get a certain amount of material up to a certain height in an area or something. Have a ghost projection of it. I don't know. There's a few construction games out there that do this kind of thing, so probably a few examples to look into. But yeah, I mean, the game is developing well, the digging feels nice, material falls in hoppers and disappears quite quickly and nicely. And you'll see from this 4-way hopper that this isn't really getting a very even scatter on what it's putting into the hopper. It tends to concentrate in the middle too. But the dump truck does give a more even sort of loading effect, because it sort of scatters out in a linear fashion across its width. So when using the dump truck, this hopper comes into its own because the dump truck tries to spray it everywhere, and it's actually too small. I need to put a top layer on the back, but I haven't got around to it because as soon as I'm going down a step, that entire top's going to be cut off of it. So why edit something you're about to destroy, right? Makes me wonder about certain projects that have been built by major world powers that coming up of age and require maintenance and don't get maintained, and you're like, well, are they just going to let it fall apart because it's cheaper to rebuild it? Sounds familiar. Yeah, anyway, we'll move away from that subject. So, yeah, this is a slow way of going downhill, I've got to admit. It takes a long time to build boards and stuff out now, and it takes a long time to destroy them. So one of the reasons why I'm not doing the whole floor thing down there is because of that. So one of the changes of the game has changed the way we play, or at least the way I play. Maybe I'm lazy, who knows. I might be lazy. I've built a massive battle fleet in Space Engineers, in an aside, for doing one of the missions in it, which involves destroying a lot of drones that just keep coming at you. And after going to all the efforts of doing all of that, I'm now holding off starting it because I can't be bothered with repairing that fleet. So that gives you an idea of what kind of happens sometimes. I will get round to it, but currently I'm distracted with this game, so it says something for Out of Awe that it's keeping me away from other games with pretty much some very repetitive gameplay, let's be honest. Drive, dig, drive, dig, drive, dig. It's what you build. I think once I've dug this layer out here and got rid of this green bit in the middle, then the sort of scope of the projects will come to light. Not sure if I'm going to go underground yet. I've been thinking about the tunnelling machine and how easy it is tunnelling to get a lot of material down fast. At the same time, explosives do tend to destroy the pay dirt and turn it into dirt along with coal, or they used to. So, as I say, that might require thought. Take that overhang off, didn't want it there. I shouldn't be going into the front wall, I'm meant to be going downwards. This is what I mean, I get distracted. I just start digging therapeutically into one of these faces, and the next thing I know there's a massive overhang over the top, and I've done exactly what I didn't want to do. Because I've got to get up there now with the machine and dig away that overhang if I want to get rid of it. Because you can't just smooth stuff away anymore. Yeah, the whole game's become a little bit more grindy. I feel the hand of a certain content creator who was involved in the... Yeah, okay, I'm not going there. I'll let you draw your own conclusions for those who know voxel gaming. But yeah, the grind has become apparent in gaming. I'm not that keen on grind. At the same time, grind is part of gaming. So yeah, it's a school of thought. But I mean, beyond mining for profit, there's what else involves these kind of vehicles and tools? Well, there's manipulating landscapes into something else, something that you want. Whether it's a large water retention project or preparation works for a construction project. Something a lot of people don't really think about, and probably wouldn't want to, because we live in a very, well, in the UK, there is certain peace-loving leftist feeling. But at the end of the day, armies need places to deploy stuff. You know, anti-aircraft batteries, sea defences. It's not necessarily about attacking the enemy, right? This is all just logistics. So fire positions and places for weapon systems like Patriot, that's getting a lot of attention in Ukraine, they all need areas to deploy dug in, and this is a task that is quite often done by combat engineers. But if you're in your own country defending your own place, why not let the civvies do it, right? So one of the mission plans in the game could be to dig preparatory defensive positions in case something happens. You know, you don't have to name the scenario. I think you can insert your favourite disaster politically here. On the subject of political disasters, man, certain interview with a certain Eastern fella who controls a rather large country, that was 2 hours of pretty much the biggest demonstration of how to talk politically about something for 2 hours without ever saying anything about the thing that everyone wants to know about. Very impressive. Pretty skilled work, you know, from a political point of view. And the interviewer concerned, well, yeah. After sitting through that much political waffle, I mean, 2 hours worth. Yeah, he is now qualified to interview the head of the Chinese Communist Party and the head of the North Koreans. And once he sat through those two, he's qualified to be the head of the US Senate, you know, the Speaker of the House guy, because he can sit through all of that political waffling with a smile on his face. It's quite impressive. You know, they found the right guy for the job there. Whatever else you can think about all of that, they found the right guy for that interview. I looked at it and had a little bit of a chuckle to myself in the fact that certain British interviewers are known for being a bit bulldog on the subject matter of their interview, and it would have been a very different interview. But they'd have had to have been not funded by the BBC for that to happen. Yeah, I'm quite cynical about all of mass media, by the way. It's sometimes very much theatre, and it shows. It's bad theatre. It's like, you know, some dodgy sci-fi rip-off. But yeah, back to Outlaw. Yeah, the autosave, so we'll just wait a second. Best to be stationary during the autosave. There we go. Definitely better to be stationary on the autosave, because it just saves on any chaos. And you've got to remember that anything in the bucket of a vehicle or in load bed of a dumper won't be included in the autosave. So when you load, it won't be in the vehicle. And this is because the vehicle inventory is sort of a floating piece of data, I'd guess. Or just not in the save file. So yeah, maybe it's in a temporary cache folder that gets deleted when you save, quit and load sort of thing. But yeah, so that's something to be remembered, is don't park up like your dumper full of rich stuff and save and quit and then go back in, because it won't be there. But stuff that's in machinery is remembered. So anything that you've just dumped into a hopper and has disappeared into the conveyor system, even if your conveyor system takes 15 minutes for it to arrive at the machine, it will be remembered because it's in a fixed item, which is kind of handy. So it might be down to the position. It needs to be fixed and not on a moving vehicle. Who knows? But yeah, stuff that's in the actual vehicle's inventory will stay. So if you were to store a load of ore in a vehicle inventory, I think that will remain, but it may not remain if you send it to the garage and redeploy it. So yeah, one of the reasons why I run fairly unmodified vehicles, no paint schemes or anything like that, is because I tend to sometimes have to garage and redeploy them when I do something stupid like drive off the edge. And so I just can't be bothered with putting all the mods back on. Like, once again, this is lazy gaming. I'm as guilty of it as anyone, I've talked about it before, but there's lazy gaming that affects gameplay, and then there's just I'm playing for fun, lazy gaming. And they're two different things. How are we getting on with the level here? Okay, starting to get down to the level that I want it to be at, so that's good. Start expanding it along. The thing is, once you turn around and start digging in the other direction, once you come past the hopper, you lose your ability to drop in like this. So, yeah. That's where the complication of this little game starts. I'm probably not going to get this finished before the end of the video because we're already at the half-hour of recording, and I don't think I'm halfway there, but starting to dig a bit deeper closer to. So yeah, the idea here is to dig down a ramp to about the right height and then bring it backwards. So just keep skimming it off backwards until you've got enough room down at the bottom for the machine, and then you start driving forward and cutting in and driving forward into the hopper. But to do that, you need quite a little bit of space, which is why I've started cutting over in this direction in a bit more of a severe fashion. So it just means that by skimming it off gently like this and never going sort of deeper than half your bucket's worth halfway down the ramp, full bucket's worth at the bottom sort of thing, you keep the incline to the point where this machine can handle it. It's designed for big flat ground. If you're cutting into virgin terrain and trying to build a road, you are probably better off with a 500 than these big machines. 500 in combination with a big bulldozer is a great way to bash a road through along a hillside. You can just like take a chunk out of the hillside with a loader, dump it downhill, and build up a flat sort of plateau for the bulldozer to come along, and then cut along with the bulldozer and smooth it all out, and you've got a nice road. You obviously the compactor comes in for the smoothing of the final part, but yeah, for the most part, using the GPS system, which apparently works now, but I once again haven't played with it. I haven't played with the drill adapter yet. Apparently that had an update in the last couple of days. Attachments, excavators, haven't been near either of them yet in this map. So I love them, don't get me wrong, I do like them, but I just very rarely use them. Their bucket size compared to this loader, for instance, is just like, I don't get how an excavator with the dumper is more efficient than this beast. I just, yeah, really don't understand that one. I think the bucket on this is 48 square meters compared to, I think, the sort of 8 to 16 of the. There might be one that's 25. Can't remember. So I mean, can't even remember the stats. I've looked at the excavators that little. I mainly use them for cutting out a hopper hole or conveyor runs, where I want to drive over them, so the conveyor run will be the same height as the floor sort of thing, as it is down there at the moment. Reminds me I must rebuild the floor that's down there. So yeah, you'll see that sometimes I'm going into this in the direction I am at the moment and cutting like the step back a bit and in quite a shallow way. And then sometimes I'm going down in the other direction and putting a bit more angle on it, and that's just to try and keep some kind of smooth ramp going in a couple of places as a backup plan in case I dig too deep or something like that. But yeah, tasks like this and coming up with them yourself is sort of the makeup of the game at the moment. We'll find out how efficient this is, because the containers on the machine were, I'm pretty sure, fairly empty. In the fact that I was mainly digging dirt in my last session, so even if there was anything in there, I doubt there was much. It was all coming off that sort of 3-bucket end of that slope, so it was mainly dirt and the top skim of the pay dirt, which, unless you hit a rich spot, the top skim's always a bit meh. Though in other places, as I say, it's very dependent on location, the top bit. But as you get down into it, it starts to average out with certain values. Excuse me. You'll see then I reversed with the bucket down, and by doing that you can sometimes smooth out the slope that you've just cut. You can see how smooth the finish is from doing it. You might name it buttering. It's a snowboarding term for a certain trick, and it's a term for a certain kind of landing in radio-controlled aviation. Yeah, you can butter with a loader. Why not? I think another thing with this game is vehicles unrelated to mining, like quads, 4x4s, motorcycles, that kind of stupid thing, and building tracks for them. That's always a cool one. Just thinking in the future, games that are developed need to keep earning money. Some kind of crazy mod pack. And then the dev gets slated for releasing something that... yeah. I'm not going to get into that debate. Stay away from that one. This is the thing about this game, when I'm digging, and just sat here, like pulling out that entire hillside over there, which was about the height of the loader. This bit over here that's a bit higher. It's just a matter of digging in and sitting there and, literally gritting your teeth and going for it. And because of that, your mind is left free to wander. It's just this repetitive sort of digging pattern. And you think about all these other weird things that you've seen in the news or read about in some article, and yeah, sometimes there is clarity and sometimes there isn't. Like there, why did I go in at the top there? I meant to be digging the floor out. You find yourself doing things and like, oh, why have I dug over here? And in some cases, like, it's going to sound strange, but there was a funny dark patch over here in the top surface, and I was like, I wonder what that is, and I dug into it and there was no resources there. I was like, I decided to dig into it sort of anyway, just working on the theory that whilst there's nothing really in the pay dirt at that height, it might be in the stonework underneath. It's an experiment I haven't really done. I think I'm going to get it done in this map. I'm going to try and stick to this map for a while. I have been one of the reasons for the delay of the video with the dev has been coming out with updates pretty quick in the testing group, that we've been I've been barely getting to them before they've been going live on the public version. So they are pretty well known fixes for pretty well known things, I'd guess. So yeah, it's pretty high speed sometimes. You can get overtaken by events very quickly. But yeah, I'll get used to it. Still trying to work out what to do for a new living. Like, when the best advice you get from the docs is find another career, it's kind of not useful. Especially when it's their fault. Kind of annoying. I'll get over it. I will get over it. Yeah. Nah. Rage is a motivator too. Because you can get angry at this game. I got angry at this game a couple of days ago. Didn't like the fact that I felt like I was getting nowhere, and now that I've turned around and looked back at what I've been digging out and stuff and thought about it, I'm like, actually there is a huge area gone missing here. I have done something. But yeah, I could get this out a lot quicker with a conveyor floor. It's just not fun. Done conveyor floor to death. There was a stage where they were all I was using, and yeah, you get bored of them. It's kind of cool. You dig, drop, dig, drop, dig, drop, massive amounts of stuff going in machines that run for 2 hours after you finish playing and just stood there watching them because they're that full. But those were the old days, and the values for the materials have changed and that kind of thing, so we may not see that kind of thing again from a conveyor floor. I don't know yet. An experiment that I need to do. And yeah, you saw there I just sort of surfed the bucket around and just gently gathered stuff up, and it gives you a nice smooth finish without any of the big lumpy steps in it to drive over. Once again, buttering. You could use the grader for the same job, you could use the compactor for the same job, probably use a bulldozer for the same job. But I've got a feeling that the bulldozer might crash the game, I'm not sure. The problem seems to be related to creating terrain. It sometimes has funny effects. Something I need to do more experiments with once again. See if I can get a bit more off from right up closer. That was dangerous. Playing near the edge. It's one of the reasons that the floor is there, is so that if I do have a little accident with the loader and end up falling off the edge, I don't gouge into the floor below. It doesn't get too messy as an accident, if that makes sense. This is the annoyance with digging downhill. You saw those few balls fall out the bucket just there. It appears that cutting position might now be related to gravity rather than position in relation to the vehicle. And that's kind of cool, but at the same time kind of annoying when you're cutting downhill. There you go. Just like that. But they are backfilling some of the low points in that slope, so not necessarily something to be complained about. Crikey, 45 minutes of this already. Maybe I should do a poll, see whether people think I should just stop talking and keep digging. But yeah, as I say, most of the development of the game appears to be around the workbenches and the hand tools at the moment. I'd like to see some more production equipment. I'd like to see some kind of iron ore separator into a basic furnace that makes the iron bars en masse, and then can transmit them across to some kind of other furnace that makes the steel. That'd be kind of cool. Just have a massive steelworks thing going on. And then obviously the forklift stand, all the big rolls of steel coming off, and trucks to put them on, and somewhere to deliver them. But perhaps I'm just a manufacturing geek, who knows. Like, I used to work in manufacturing, I kind of like production lines and stuff. It's sort of what you do. Games that involve that kind of thing definitely get my interest. As do logistics games, building empires, sort of the old school kind of things. Not necessarily good in the graphics department, but the actual amount of things going on in the game is huge. There's a few examples of turn-based strategy games that did that really well, and a few big space sims where you could have like massive amounts of colonies. Those were always fun. Just massive variables and dynamics, and you could have hundreds of bases building ships and have a battle fleet in 2 turns, and people would be like, where did that come from? It's good fun. I like those days. I like these days as well, though. Modern gaming's just, there are certain things modern computers do a lot better than the old ones do. This kind of on-the-fly terrain modification and graphics and that kind of thing is yeah, you just can't define it. It's great. It really is good. And apparently there's going to be more updates on vehicles, and vehicles are going to get more detailed and stuff, which is kind of cool, and I like it. But at the same time, I'm a gameplay guy. Everything can stay as it is at the moment graphically in this game, and more development equipment, more variety in the types of digging equipment that we can get. I really want a trench digger that, you know, it's like a big chainsaw of buckets that go into the ground and on a long bar and dig out. I can't remember what, bar cutter. I don't know what you call it. In the UK, on a small scale, they're quite often used for putting land drainage under fields and that kind of thing. So they've got about an 8-foot bucket cutting bar, and it cuts this narrow trench, and the pipe goes into it, and then it's buried. And the pipe's got holes in it, and the water can go through into them or something. But yeah, that system can be used for a lot of different things. But in out of ore, it would be great for putting conveyors down low through areas, like what I'm doing at the moment over here. Just cut into the hill with one of those and just put the conveyor. It'd be great. But, we'll see what comes. It's a matter of seeing what comes. So I'm starting to try and flatten the bottom of the hole out now down there and cut it back towards me, so that when I start reversing down and cutting in, I can just drive off onto that sort of floor that's built there and empty into the hopper. This is the idea. I'm not sure how well this is going to work, but I can always build a floor on the fuel side and go in from there. It's fine. From what I've seen of the YouTube channels that I watch, the most popular channels are ones where they're not even sure if their experiment is going to work. Yeah, I do like the guys who take electronics apart and play with them, and then they explode. That's always entertaining, because it's happened to me. It's always fun. 47 minutes on the video already, jeez. What am I thinking? So, yeah. Keep digging the hole, just keep digging the hole. And that, yeah, I've said it 2-3 times, but this is all it's about. As we're getting toward the end of my settings for filming, I could adjust them, but I think an hour's worth of me is all anyone can handle. I really do. Like, if you've got this far in the video, you are a hero. You could probably take on Tucker Carlson. You could probably interview like Putin, no worries. If you can put up with me for 2 hours, no worries. So yeah, if you've made it to full length on 2 of my hour-long videos, congratulations, you are an elite. But you can see what I mean by the coloration of that wall just keeps me going into it. I don't know what's in it, but it looks pretty. Oh, I've missed. Yeah, definitely missed. Glad I put a floor in under there. Save me flooding up the hopper and having a little accident like I have previously. When I say a little accident, I'm turning a molehill into a mountain, as you forget that you didn't connect up a piece of machinery, and so the outputs down at the end there are just pouring onto the floor. That was kind of an amusing day. That was one of the last updates. The dev decided to remove the fixed sale point, and so my machine that was running when I saved was still running when I loaded, but the sale point was gone, and there was this massive pile of mud, which was kind of amusing. Other people might have been screaming about it, but I found that one kind of funny. I guess that's the British sense of humour for you. Um, what we class as a good stitch up. So yeah, I mean, you can see how this ramp is developing as I'm digging it, and if you go across that with a compactor now, in the condition it's in, you'll get a fairly good smooth ramp for running stuff up and down with like a dumper truck or something. If you want to build a big scale mine with some kind of haul road down to a hopper, because you can't see it from here, but in the dip of those conveyors over there, there is actually a set of hoppers designed for drive-on, drive-off dumpers. I am thinking ahead with that build. It's not my favourite type of build. The sorting machines are all too close together, and bits of conveyors are glued through other bits and stuff like that, but it is very compact. It doesn't use too much resources. If you've got a mill, you can build that, no worries. But it's best to have a mill and a half, just for contingencies. Like the long conveyor in is very expensive. It's 4 times more expensive than a single conveyor. Big machine versus little machine is a big debate, and one that I will save for another time when I've got them built alongside each other and worked out how much they cost per meter effectively. But the joy of these 4-way machines is that when you start tipping stuff into them in mass, which is what it will be happening here fairly soon, it just eats it. It'll have it pretty much processed by the time you can walk down there. Which is why I've got the other loader down there, is so that I can do things like I'm about to. So park that one up. There we go. We're here. And we've beaten what we've just dumped in down here, which is kind of handy. So, yeah. Just arriving. So yeah, the way this is built, you can walk around up here and get to all of these other containers, which is kind of useful. Let's see. Barely any coal been found in that one. But over here, aha, yeah. And as I say, it looks like overkill with the other containers on the coal side at the moment, but gravel is the other thing that'll end up there, and there'll be all the stuff from the fractioner, and it'll be absolutely crazy. So, yeah. This is what I've been doing. It's quite a big hole. I just need to keep digging. I think is the way to play this. But yeah, I hope to be bringing some more content out soon. Going to try and concentrate on the making videos rather than the testing games so much. But yeah, when you look at it on the mass, it's quite a big hole. Once I've got that greenery out in the middle there, that greenery out over there, and start to get a cliff edge up the back there, I think it's going to make a nice looking quarry in here. And I could just keep moving up this valley toward that big mountain, and that big mountain. That direction's sort of an all-out loss, the landscape just falls away. But getting mobile and moving around in the landscape is now, with the ability to build sell points, definitely on. So yeah, down to here. So yeah, my machines probably all stopped running now. And so it's a matter of reloading them, cycling again, and getting some more profit related things going on. You can hack trees for profit, you can do a few things, so yeah. So thank you all for joining me, everybody. I'm going to keep digging and bring you some more content and maybe demonstrate some more machinery. Feel free to send in suggestions, or if you're having problems with the game, and I'll see if I can do a video that involves it. And yeah, thank you for viewing, look after yourselves, have a great weekend and stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.